Ryan Coogler's Sinners is such an accomplishment, and I cannot stop thinking about it, not just because of the representation of every single culture. You have indigenous people, you have Chinese American immigrants, you have obviously the Southern Black American experience. And it's so interesting because I just finished reading Blues for Mr. Charlie for book club, and there's so many parallels, especially a Black man in the South who plays music, and his father is a pastor and doesn't approve of his music, but he has dreams to go to the big city. And also the twins, Smoke and Stack, coming back from Chicago, also reminds me of Blues for Mr. Charlie because it happens when the guy who is killed by the white man in Blues for Mr. Charlie is a musician who just comes back from New York. And he has a similar sentiment of what the twins say of like Chicago is just a big plantation with bigger buildings and skyscrapers. And it's like so interesting to think about that time in America where men who were living in the North, Black men, would come back to sometimes be from the South, move away to the North because they think it's going to be better, come back because it wasn't, and experience even extra prejudice from the white man and the KKK of like, oh, who do you think you are now that you're some Northern man? Like, you think you're better? Oh, shoot. You think you're better than us now just because you went to the big city? You know what I mean? And then, this term Peckerwood that I believe the twins are using near the beginning in this ride while they're like collecting people and things. It means this word Peckerwood that I, again, learned in Blues for Mr. Charlie, which now I'm so glad I read it like last month, kind of prepped me for this movie. It's like poor white folk. So again, now I don't think that main like KKK guy, whatever his name is, Hogwood, I don't think he is necessarily poor, but I think that like the racism of white people in the South is very amplified by wealth and class gaps. And so when they see Black men like dressed as well as Smoke and Stack are, and Michael B. Jordan is like the perfect man ever to play that role, not just because he's so gimmicky, and like obviously he's a great actor, but he's really good at playing like the gimmicky gangster character. Like when you think about Black Panther, he's very like, you know what I mean, in a way that I think this role calls for, because he could play the dark side and also the more outgoing, like not flamboyant, but you know what I'm saying, side. And I think that the twins we're not just showing like that time of race in America where white people can't see a Black man dressed well without feeling a bad way about it, but the twins really reflect the dichotomy of the whole thing. It starts with the twins, right? Of life and death, yin and yang, black and white, vampire, church. We start with the twins. Let's go to their women 1 inch out. This is how my brain sees this movie. Like I see it like it starts with the twins. There's this dichotomy dance there. And then it goes out one, out one, out one. And everything is opposite. But it's also not. Like you have the Irish jig and you have the Black culture music revolution. I think that scene was probably one of the most accomplished scenes in cinema history for all of the cultures that it included. And we all got chills. Everybody in the theater, I think, probably got chills from that point. I know me and my friend did, because it went from this time in history to connecting it back through ancestors and forward through descendants and even the Chinese culture coming in. It was so beautiful. But the twins women, I think, are also so opposite, even though they're friends, right? But like they're opposite in the sense that Annie, ancestor, easy to remember. She's the one who's connected with the ancestors. She's the one who knows what everything is. She knows what a haint is, which is like their word for vampire. And the whole thing begins with how different cultures have different names for these spiritual and supernatural entities, but it's all essentially related. But Annie, obviously she runs an apothecary. She's a bit of a witch. And at some point, one of the twins says to her, oh, you know, that Louisiana, or I don't think he says it to her necessarily, but he says, oh, I don't know about that Louisiana stuff, and I still need to go to New Orleans because there's got to be something there. Everybody always, and it's like Vampire Diaries too. You know what I mean? And when you see so many people talk about this place, you begin to wonder, there's got to be something real there, I feel. But so Annie is obviously, she's kind of a witch. She's got this apothecary. She's very in tune with the ancestors. Heartbreaking scene when he says, okay, so why couldn't that save our baby? But clearly she's still interested in protecting him. And she has given him this sack. People have said she like renewed it that day, and that's why it really protected him. Because at first, obviously there's spoilers ahead, right? You guys know that by now. At first, I'm skipping forward to the end, when he was trying to kill his brother, or his brother was trying to kill him, and the pendant like pouch protected him, and I think he was also wearing silver. At first I just thought it was because I was like, oh, maybe a brother can't kill a brother, or like can't bite a brother, can't turn a brother into a vampire. But then my friend was like, no, it's because of his thing. So I don't know, but it would have been, it says a lot about like ancestry and brotherhood, but I digress. So going out to Haley Steinfeld and then Annie. Haley Steinfeld, Mary, doesn't know who she is, disconnected from her ancestors, very easily, I don't want to say manipulated, but she's obviously the weakest link because she's the one who, she also thinks she can level with them as like the mixed girl. Well, she's like an octoroon. She thinks she can level with them and be like, so do you guys really have any money? Like, you can talk to me. Like, I'm going to be the undercover agent. You know what I mean? And it's like, obviously she's grief-ridden because her mother just died. And because of that, I do think she became more vulnerable. She was already disjointed from like what I think she feels her real culture is. And so, and she's obviously still in love with, I get the twins mixed up. It's Smoke or Stack. I want to say it's Smoke, but it could be Stack. And she's married to this white man. She doesn't actually care about him. She wants to sink deeper into this identity that is only like 15% of her, because that's what feels heaviest to her and that's what matters to her. But then she's putting them all in danger, just her presence being there. And then she does end up technically being the one to really put them in danger, I think, the first domino effect. But that being said, it's all a domino effect, right? And then this whole thing is a question of spirituality and God, and who does God serve? Because, you know, when you're in the lake and you start saying our Father, Sandy starts saying our Father, and Remick, the main vampire, starts reciting it along with him. And he says, you know, the Christians overtook my people too long ago, but the words still bring me comfort. And there's so much in that, in the fact that it's an indoctrination that is used to colonize, and it won't save you, because also the KKK members pray to that God. And the devil knows all the words to your prayer. Also, when Remick first lands down and it looks like he's coming from, well, we know he can do that little floaty thing. When he lands onto the sand and starts running towards Bert and his wife's house, somebody said on TikTok that sort of like land run desperation is supposed to mimic a fallen angel, which is very interesting. Even though we know that like, there was like an official Spotify link with 3 articles that are actually real from that time. And one of them is about a man who was found like running shirtless with like smoke or something away from a ship that was burning, and there was like blood everywhere. And I don't know, and it was from Ireland. I think it's very interesting, the Irish of it all, the Irish jig contrasting this inside sort of blues cipher. And so they're saying blues is the devil's music, right? That's like the thought of the time. And also cue to Elvis, you know what I mean? And that's why people thought he was black. Oh my God, that's so funny. Anyways, this whole like idea of blues music and music being the connector of ancestors and almost like a portal through time, and but it also is what attracts the leeches, the moths to the flame, that special gift that Black people have of like culture and music and expansion and connection. Think about how a lot of times white people can connect with other white people through Black culture. And so it attracts the vampires like a moth to a flame, as like leeches wanting this ability to connect. Like Remick is seeking community, right? And so he wants Sammy because he wants not just to be reunited with his ancestors, but you also have to remember that Remick gains the memories of everyone that he turns. So I wonder if he would then have Sammy's ability. But also that's why they wanted Annie so badly, because of what she knows, like in which terms, you know what I'm saying? But Remick is like a good villain, because I think when you see him go to the house of the KKK members and he sees the hood, he uses that as a tactic to appeal to them. And it's like the most evil person knows how to use both sides against each other. Similarly to how Smoke and Stack were pitting the Irish against the Italians, right? And they were saying that with they're stealing wine from the Italians and beers from the Irish. And people say that Irish people are the Black people of white people, and, they were taken over by the British and all of these things, and these are the parallels and what sort of desperation comes out of that. And that's why people don't hate Remick, because they see where he's coming from, like as an Irish immigrant. And also when it comes to, the Chinese American immigrants, they are allowed to sell on both sides of the street. That walk that they do from street to street is so significant. Lisa goes to get her mom, and her mom walks past across the street, and you can tell in that exchange that they're both like, you love both of them, and they both have like such confidence and like bad bitch energy. But then I actually really, really liked Grace Chow throughout the film. Lots of people are really upset with her for being the one who says, come in, motherfuckers, to the vampires. I feel that the men were gaslighting her at that point. I feel like the vampires outside said, we're gonna go get your daughter, and she said, okay, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We can't let her just go get my daughter. Especially because they're already are all in that compromising position. And was there not it's not, she was brought into this. You know what I'm saying? She was pulled into this. And I understand people are saying, oh, this is what happens when you invite somebody who doesn't belong in the space, and this is space and whatever. She was reluctant at first to do anything. And she was like, Smoke, why is he here? Or it could have been Stack. Again, Michael B. Jordan, he was a great actor, but people were saying I started to see him as two different people. I didn't. I thought he was a great actor. I still was like, oh, Michael B. Jordan twice. But whichever one was in the store talking to her husband, Beau, and then when she comes up, she seems very like skeptical of him, like, you're bringing trouble, like, please, can you not? And he's like, no, we need your help. So for her to have first said no, and then he's like, no, but I'm going to pay you a lot. And she's like, okay, fine. She's not willing to sacrifice her daughter because of that. And I do think that's fair enough. But also I think that she was saying, okay, what are we going to do? And the men were like, like they were just like gaslighting her. And then so she's like, I'll scream. I'll start screaming. And then she started screaming. Somebody should have engaged her with her reality and tried to calm her down. Her husband just turned. They're threatening her daughter. Her daughter's out there on the loose, like vulnerable. She had a right to be upset. But I also get the other metaphor. And I think both are cool. I think it's all cool, but I also think she's the only mother, so it's hard to say like, oh, she shouldn't have reacted that way when they just said they're gonna go get her daughter. I don't know, but it's really interesting because, because Annie knew about the ancestors. Well, okay, also she threw the bones, right? She read her future. So she probably knew that she was going to die, which is why she told her lover, Stack, I think. Let's say that one's Stack. That if she is to be killed, drive a stake through her heart. She doesn't want to be a vampire because then she can't connect with the ancestors or their baby. And then that's probably because she knew she was going to go. And because of that and her knowledge of that, he also gets to go peacefully and join their baby and the ancestors versus Haley Steinfeld's BF. She led him astray. Now, did they get to live out their like rock star fantasies very like Damon and Lexi style? Is it Damon? No, Stefan and Lexi? I'm confused. I'm talking about Vampire Diaries if you didn't know. That's kind of cool, like the sort of living through the years, rock star, whatever, and then this ending scene that I missed, because ending scenes I think are a trick. Like, I have to pee, I have to pee. Don't trick me, I have to pee. It's been 2 hours, and I've been drinking throughout this movie. My bladder is full, I have to pee. Stop putting surprise scenes after, I can't do this right now. Anyways, they showed Sammy at the Blues Club. I saw that part, but then apparently they showed like he had two special visitors. It's Haley Steinfeld, Mary, and Michael B. Jordan. Smoke? Let's call him Smoke. And that makes sense to me. Actually, I forget. One of them can't roll. One of them can roll the cigarettes and one of them cannot. And it's all a metaphor. And so at the end, he struggles to like roll, you know. But Haley Steinfeld's BF, ends up being a vampire for the rest of his days and will never join his ancestors. But he also seemed like he was having more fun anyway, right? And the other one was giving older brother energy, which almost makes me think maybe his name is Smoke. And I'm sorry for this part that it's confusing. It's Michael B. Jordan twice. I'm only a girl with two eyes. I can barely take in Michael B. Jordan once. He was so hot in this whole movie. Oh, was so, and Sammy was stunning, and he was on tour with SZA since he's 16, and she said that he should audition for it. This is his breakout role. His name is Miles, and I'm obsessed with him. And Ryan Coogler. I'm obsessed with both of them. I love a Southern man, a Southern black man's accent. I gotta be honest, I love it. Or sorry, not Southern, West Coast or Southern. West Coast or Southern, both. Anyway, also the guy from The Good Wife or The Good Fight, his sacrifice to me was giving Hodor, Game of Thrones. That's the drunk musician guy. And all of these characters are very archetypal and very big, like Shakespearean epic sort of stories and deaths and characters. It's so interesting. I love all of the seductive moments were very tastefully done, I thought, and relevant. Like, I liked the dynamics that happened in all of them. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Haley Steinfeld spitting and homegirl saying, let me wash up, and Sammy saying, you don't need to. I love Sammy, and I think the whole point was when, at the end of the movie, and also the beginning, when his dad says, put down the guitar, so relevant to Blues for Mr. Charlie. If you haven't read it, you should read it. He's saying, choose faith or choose yourself and your personal creativity, right? And even though that personal creativity got him into the situation of calling the vampires to him, it also, his guitar was the silver piece that killed Remick and freed them all. So, well, those who had survived. So at the end of the day, and when he said those prayers, he said those prayer words, that failed him. Remick said it with him. All the vampires said it with him. The devil knew all the words to that prayer. So who is he to keep praying to this God and give away his actual power and magic and the thing that really did save him at the end of the day? And I think that's why he moves to Chicago. So, yeah, that's my review. I hope you liked it. Please leave a comment. What did you think about the movie? If you haven't seen it yet, just save this for later. Well, you probably would have left already, but please subscribe. Please tell a friend. I love you. I'll see you soon. Bye.